Wow. I can already tell this is going to be a lot of fun. And I'm so excited to dive into this with you. I am RedHeadFred. I'm here at Yucca Records, and this is Fluid Chords 2 by Pitch Innovations. This is the sequel to Fluid Chords 1, and gosh, golly, is it a powerful thing. I am just kind of blown away by this. Full disclosure, Pitch Innovations did reach out to me to demo this, but they did not pay me, and they did not ask me to only be positive with my review. But as it so happens, all I have to say are positive things, because as you just heard, holy crap, this thing is cool. And what's cool to me is that beyond its basic function, which is to blend and bend between chords in a fluid way, hence the name, it's also just a really powerful synth engine in itself. It's a powerful sampler in itself, and it integrates really well with existing and well-known soft synths like Omnisphere and Spectrasonics and more, Serum. Anyway, just so excited to dive under the hood here. I don't even know where to start because I kind of went into this just thinking that I would bend between a few chords, and it's just so much deeper than that. So I guess I'll just start with their presets, because this is kind of what I saw right out of the box, and then we'll dive in deeper and kind of start creating our own patches and see how deep we can get with this thing. So let's dive on in. Right out the gate, you come into this preview mode, which is the trigger mode. So you can map MIDI chords to these different triggers, and then when you play the corresponding note on your MIDI keyboard, like C1 will play your first programmed chord. Playing D1 will play your second programmed chord, and so on and so forth. The names can be a little confusing because you don't have to put a C chord here. You can put an F major 7. You can put whatever you want, but these are just where they map out to the keyboard so you can perform them as such. So what I immediately like is the visualization of the chord voicings. If you are, looking to create interesting inversions and you're looking to visualize how your chords are flowing counterpoint-wise, this is a really cool tool. You'll notice that all of them are flowing at like a predetermined time, which is set right here at 200 milliseconds. And I have this set to auto bend, which just means that when I play this first chord and then I push the next chord, it's going to automatically bend at the predetermined time, which is 200 milliseconds. If I were to toggle this off, now I have control on the pitch bend wheel to control the speed at which this bends to the next chord. So you can get pretty nitty-gritty with the speed at which these blends happen. But it's pretty easy to just set auto bend and find a time that works for you. You can set it to something really snappy, like just like 100 milliseconds or so. And you get these really tight changes that's somewhere in between, just hard chord changes and that legato portamento vibe. And then there's extremes like 5,000 milliseconds. That you can get pretty darn weird, cool things with. Furthermore, before I miss this, there's a velocity curve here. So if you want it to take 5,000 milliseconds but kind of get there quicker at first and then slow down, you can adjust that. Or you can, let's set it to like 1500 and do like a really tight curve here. So you'll hear it starts to slowly change and then speed up, which which is interesting. You don't have to get these static linear motions. So pretty darn cool. My favorite thing I think about this whole plugin, I'll let the cat out of the bag, is the Strum and Flow functions. And basically, Strum is exactly what you might think it is. It's that instead of bending all the notes of the chord at the same time, you're going to get this strummed effect where note 1, note 2, note 3, note 4 bend in succession, spaced out by some time. So we can play with that a little bit. Here's it off. Let me set a tighter time. Now, if I turn the strum function on, let's set it at a low setting at like 22. You'll notice that each note kind of took its own time to spread out. And it starts, here, let me just check this. The bottom note will move first, followed by the second bottom note, followed by the third and the fourth. But we can change this direction by toggling this little arrow here, and now it's going to reverse that, start with the top note moving, and then follow downwards. So you just get different directions, and you could even, you know, automate this and toggle this back and forth just to keep things interesting and never have a repeated transition point. When you crank this higher, you get very, very delayed transitions. So this is kind of cool because you can get totally different chords in that transition. As note 1 and note 2 change, you might get this this neighboring chord that helps bridge the gap. Really cool, almost like melodic aspect to it, where you're getting like a top line that's building. Same thing in reverse. Just so cool, just so cool. And then the flow function is kind of like an inversion splitter, to where instead of, let's say, chord 1 is this, and chord 2 is this, pinky's going to go to pinky, ring is going to go to ring, middle's going to go to middle, you get it. It's going to flip things around to where maybe pinky's going to go to ring, middle's going to go to pointer, and you know, maybe might be better shown than explained. So you notice the bottom note moves all the way to the top, and vice versa, the top note moves down to the bottom. That's an extreme 100 setting. If I move it to 20, it's not going to completely flip-flop them. It's going to just kind of intermingle a few voices. And this is going to vary based on the chords you choose, because if you choose very linear chords, C, D minor, E minor, F, it's not necessarily going to provide these extreme examples that you just heard. But when you have a very unique and spaced out chord progression, this starts to get more extreme. This little doohickey right here inverts your phrase. So let's say this is starting on A. Now it's A sharp. Now it's B. This is a good way to just throw things up an octave. Or even 2 octaves. A little shrill. And vice versa. Down 2 octaves. Way too low. But let's try it down 1. Sick. Just a good way to get a slightly different tone from the same exact synth. Now, I'm a big believer in writing my own chords, but gosh, Fluid Chords 2 has made it addicting to not only use their preset chord progressions, which are very well composed, but also use this cool tool, this chord generator tool, where let's say you want to write a song in D minor and you want it to be, let's say a cinematic song. Hit chord generate and it's going to create this little chord progression for you that tries to estimate what you're writing in. Let's see here. This is very shrill, so let me put it down an octave and maybe even put on a filter here. So you could just hear how quickly it came up with a chord progression for me. And this can go in a lot of different genres and keys. Let's do G minor in a lo-fi genre. Just really cool, unexpected chords that you might not think of right off the top of the tip of your tongue. You know, they're interesting, they're unique, and they have enharmonic interchange and lots of fun stuff. You have a basic forward and back, and undo and a redo. You have a clear just to get rid of all the chords on your map. You have a learn function here to where when you plug in your MIDI keyboard, you could just map in a couple chords. So you can write something custom. And then again, apply all of these fun little So you can just see how you can kind of get lost. That was just a 4-chord progression, but suddenly adding Strum and Flow and modulating it, and then going in and tinkering with the synth engine, you can get just endless results. And this is just with the trigger function that I'm playing with right now. We've barely skimmed the surface. Moving along, we have a real-time mode here. Before we were using triggers where we'd map chords to individual notes on the keyboard. You can also just pull out your keyboard and play a chord, and then play your next chord. Oh, hold on. And it will automatically blend between these. And just like the trigger mode, you can set custom glide times. And you could set how long that these notes are held. Let me pick a different sound. This is a little bit abrasive. Let's see here. Yeah. So this will sync up to the BPM of your session. I'm at 140 BPM right now. And so this is going to hold for 5 beats at that tempo and then release. So if I push a chord, you can see that countdown and it'll release at the end. And so like, let's just say, like, you know, you have a song that's, Here, let's just put this on solo mode and put a click on. So it held for 5 beats, so we can adjust that to be 4. So you can see how you can just kind of, if you already had a drum groove or if you already had a track and you didn't want to map the chords, you just wanted to play them in. This is a really useful function. You can use the time mode here, which, like I said, holds the note automatically for a certain amount of beats. You can also use the pedal mode, which is the same thing, but if you're holding down the sustain pedal. As long as you're holding the sustain pedal, it's going to continue to hold the chords, and it will kill the previous chord and reintroduce the next one. It won't just hold all the chords out as if you were playing a piano and doing this. My foot's pushed down this entire time. Just really, really cool for live applications. And just like the trigger mode, you can use Strum and Flow to get some pretty cool stuff. Just so cool, just so addicting. What I've always missed in VSTs and software plugins in general is, with very few exceptions, I know synths have pitch bend wheels and there are portamento and glide functions, but they're pretty simple. They're pretty straightforward. They don't do anything more than glide to the next note, and there's no complexity in how you can adjust that other than maybe automating the speed and the dynamic curve of it, the velocity curve of it. But with Fluid Chords 2, this just like reinvents the fluidity of a synthesizer. Just really, really human. It makes it feel like someone's picked up the synthesizer, taken it out of the box, and is just plucking it and playing it. So very cool. I'm geeking out. Let me stay on subject here. Like I was saying earlier, it's a synth and a sampler. So let's just turn this blend knob all the way left so we can just focus on this one sampler. You can go into the sampler presets, and there's all these beautiful sounds that they've included. Like Mellotron-y. And this is cool because you could take very organic instruments like flutes and give them new life by bending them around. So, you know, you've come to expect pitch bending out of a synthesizer, but when you hear it in a flute or in strings, it becomes something very unique and ear-catching. Just so hip, just so hip. This goes on, just tons of sounds in the sampler. Just crazy. Yeah, so I could go on for hours. I won't torture you, but between the synth engine and the sampler engine and being able to blend between the two, you already kind of have just this infinite world of possibilities. And I haven't even dived into. I haven't started talking about the plugin integration. So let's go into that. MPE compatible plugins like Omnisphere, like Serum, integrate perfectly with this. And you can use an initialized preset and kind of create your own sound, or you can use some of these presets that you might already have in your bank that Fluid Chords 2 has already kind of integrated into the software. So let's choose one of those. It's going to pop up Omnisphere in a separate little window here. And then just like you were using it in a separate instance, you can start to edit with the synth engine. I'm playing such whack chord progressions, but here, let me make something a little bit more palatable for you. Yeah. Now let's... So pretty hip, and you can start to get really, really funky with the timings of things here. And just like the synth engine and the sampler engine, you can also use trigger mode to pre-program some chords for this thing. If you use strum tight enough and you make the timing transition tight enough, you can get very like rhythmic ideas. Here, let's... So instead of just fluid free time, you can get dig it again, dig it again, dig it again. And then change the direction. So you could see how just infinite this thing is. Especially integrating into plugins where the synth engine is even more deep than the Fluid Chords one. You can start to just go off into the deep end here. Down here, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about some of the really sick macros that they've included here. Let's get a preset just to demo them for you. So this pumper integrates seamlessly with your DAW's BPM. So if I'm in 140 right now. Defaults to quarter notes, but you can adjust the slope of the pump. They have a ton of fun little presets, or you can just grab this thing and start moving stuff around, get your own custom sound, and then you can even adjust the rate of it. Really like the 16th note because you just get these fluttery sounds, and combined with the bends, it's just kind of otherworldly. You can adjust the intensity of the pump. Get some fun, like start normal and then build with the dynamic pumping. And then over here you have a compressor, which you can open up and adjust attack, release, the drive, the makeup gain, and then you can even do some parallel compression and mix it with the dry signal. So pretty cool there that you can go under the hood for both of these and really mess with things. Same goes for the delay and the reverb. You can toggle these on and adjust the depth at which these are affecting your mix. And to go into the... Same thing goes for the reverb and delay. These are for both individual voices. Same thing goes for the reverb and delay. These are settings that are applied to sound A and sound B individually. So you can douse sound A with, reverb or delay, and maybe keep sound B dry or vice versa. Lots of fun opportunities there. Now, just when you thought this thing couldn't get any deeper, it does. So down here you have these macros, which I thought when I first opened this up were just static settings. Like this is for LFO 1 rate, but you click this and you can basically set these macros to adjust anything. So set it to the oscillator 1 tune. You could set it to, let's do oscillator 2 tune. And that goes up 3 octaves and down 3 octaves, so you can get pretty crazy there. You can do your detune, your spread, you can adjust the panning, you can adjust the filter. These things can be mapped to anything. I could sit here and show you the 10,000 ways in which all 4 of these macros can be set to make cool sounds, and then double that by showing you that that can be combined with the macro A settings and create just a sound that you've never heard before. So take a preset in this and make it your own, or just start from scratch and just get crazy, because there's really no limit to this thing. Haven't mentioned split and play. You can put voice A, sound A, through C1 through A1, and then put voice B through A sharp 1 through C6. And so you can, yeah, I know that's nonsense, but you get the idea. You know, fine, I'll play you something. Yeah, so, you know, you get the idea. So this thing's also a wavetable. So like within each voice, you have 2 oscillators, and these can be adjusted to like basic things like sine waves to things that are more complex, like full-blown wavetables. Here you have like basic shapes. So if I were to go to oscillator 1 position, you can change between like a saw wave, a sine wave, a square wave, square waves with different pulse widths, etc. Or if you have something more complex like this waveform on the right, let's go to oscillator 2 position. It's a wavetable. So you can pan and filter through and comb through these filters, these wavetables, and get some pretty modern sounds. I'm loving this mix knob. I know it's basic. I know it's just blending between source A and source B, but to start off a chord progression, and then slowly bring in so cool, like just instant intro. Like it feel like when I play this thing, it just gives me ideas. A couple more things to talk about in the settings here. You can change the size of this window. You can also just grab it and yank it. Turn off show chord names. How dare you even think about doing that? I think the whole process of this is, even if it's making my life easy and I can outsource some of the music theory to Fluid Chords 2, I still want to learn what this is. And if I hear a cool chord and I say, oh, what is that? You can look at the chord analyzer and it can tell you exactly what inversion it is, and you can take note of that and remember that. Show help text, that's just when you hover your mouse over things, it'll tell you what they are. You can turn on the light or a dark mode. Dark mode's pretty sick, but you know, it doesn't really matter. Same thing. Sustain polarity. Right now, when I push the sustain down, it's telling Fluid Chords 2 to hold down the chords. If I toggle this, it's going to do the opposite. It will hold them down until I push sustain. You can set velocity limit parameters just to omit some lighter pressed notes. It's basically like a gate and a compressor for your velocity. And you can set your mod wheel to adjust different things. Right now, the glide time is on my pitch wheel. You can set it to your mod wheel instead. You can also set your mod wheel to adjust the strum and the flow, and this is a great way to So as you play, you can maybe turn up the flow and have those more complex motions, and then turn it down and automate that. You could set how the engine is linked to the tempo. Right now on external, it'll link to your DAW. If you click internal, you can just set a BPM within Fluid Chords itself between 1 and 960. So now let's just make a song, because like this is fun. So let's just like do a just total trash basic beat to just be the foundation that this is going to be played upon. Maybe we can add some ratchets. Don't call me basic, okay? Let's do this. See, just like instant song kind of vibes. All right, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse here. If you couldn't tell already, I really like Fluid Chords too. This is a really fun plugin. It's really powerful. It's got an insane synth engine, a sampler, and it integrates just seamlessly with plugins like Serum and Omnisphere and more. I'm just kind of blown away. This has reinvigorated my excitement about playing the synth in a way that I haven't felt in a long time. It feels like I'm able to get off the page, out of the grid, and play something human. I feel like I'm just skimming the surface, so I'm gonna keep diving in. If I've missed any functionalities, please let me know in the comments. I might do a follow-up video going over the further functionality, but I'm just overwhelmed right now. So great job, Pitch Innovations. Thank you so much for letting me demo this. Like and subscribe, everyone. It helps a ton, and have a great rest of your day.